Ready? 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Lady on the Street podcast. My name's Priscilla, and you guys, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I feel like I start them all like this. One day I'll break the habit. We're back, and I'm so excited to have this guest here. It took a little bit of convincing. It took a little bit of planning, but oh my goodness, I am really excited to get this one kicked off. So today's guest is a lady who has spent the last 5 years creating a name for herself as a business and social media coach. She lives her life being unapologetically visible and spends her time teaching others how to do the same. If you run into her in real life, she'll likely be wearing pink and carrying a smile on her face because life is too short to live it any other way. Christina Olivares, aka the Social Butterfly Gal, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I am as well. So I'll start this off first by asking, what are we drinking today?
We are drinking, I believe it's like an Aperol Spritz with a little bit of strawberry, right?
Yes. So good.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh my goodness, this is really, really good.
This one was a good one.
Yeah.
It's very
I love it.
summery.
Exactly.
Like, put me on a beach somewhere.
Exactly.
Okay, so I just want to say, what's funny about this in our meeting today is we were talking about it a little bit before, but for you guys at home listening, Christina and I have a mutual friend. Shout out to Ellie.
Shout out, Ellie. We love you.
We love you, girl. So Ellie met Christina a couple of years ago, I'd say, through Twitter at the time.
Right.
And so I remember her always talking about, my friend Christina, she's doing a lot of like online content. She's building a brand, this and that. And I'd be like, oh, cool, you know? And so I've always kind of known of you because of Ellie. And it's funny that like, it all started with social media, and here we are to talk about social media, you know?
Exactly. What are the odds?
What are the odds? I know. So I did a little bit of like digging. This is not your first podcast.
No. This is probably my,
I think 20,
25, 30.
Yeah.
I have a whole Spotify playlist of.
Oh my gosh.
I actually went through, because I've been recording podcasts for a while, but I just went like the recent 5 years and created a Spotify playlist.
I see. Okay.
So that it's easy for people to find the episodes and listen and kind of curate my own playlist.
I love that. So she's a pro, guys. She's a pro here. There will be, let's see, hopefully we can switch it up a little bit from what you've already done out there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, Christina, so whenever I think of you, again, I've known of you for a really long time. When I look at your content, when I meet you in person, there are 3 things that really like stick out about you to me. Okay, so you are powerful, you're confident, and you seem to be able to really command a room.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, I think
Thank you
it's accurate. I mean, okay, so I want to know then, let's get to the bottom of it. Where do these characteristics come from? Tell me a little bit about your upbringing.
Absolutely. I grew up in the Rio Grande Valley, little 956. I am still a 956 girl, even though I've been living here. I'm an only child, and so all of just my childhood upbringing was really known to just be a performer. I love to perform. I was always doing dance routines to like Britney Spears and NSYNC in my room, but also I was super, super fascinated with the world of television. That when I was young, I would always pretend that I was doing the weather in my TV right next to, or I remember in school when we were sitting at our desk, I would always shuffle my papers as if I was a news anchor. So it just came to where I really love to be out in front of crowds. I really love to perform, and I love just making people feel good about themselves, right? Like bringing out that energy. And so I feel that growing up, because I was an only child, I had to learn how to keep myself company, right? Be alone. But also I think that I also had a fascination with the internet. And it was really interesting. I went home a couple of weeks ago to celebrate my dad's birthday. But while I was home, I was looking at old photos and I saw a picture of me when I was 8 years old. and I was sitting at a desk, and there I was on AOL, right?
Yeah.
So it just naturally happened to where all of these things of my passions about television and being on the internet, it really collided as an adult.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, I love that little backstory. I think
Yeah.
everybody was on AOL when we were little, right? AIM, what was your AIM screen name?
Ice Angel 4891.
Ooh, I love it. Brunette Baby '07. I think I said that.
I love
Ice Angel. So embarrassing,
So
right?
embarrassing. I love it. She was my very first personal brand. That's what I say.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as an only child,
Mhm.
do you think that your parents recognized some of these characteristics in you and helped kind of shape you to like what was your family upbringing like?
Absolutely. So my dad was really involved with our community, which I coin him as my very first community builder. I learned community building from him. He was active in our school board, he was active in sports. And so I feel like as I was growing up, I was really seeing what community looked like because of both of my parents, but also just the surroundings that I had. And I feel that a lot of my teenage years, I was really involved in sports, but then I started to get involved in drama club. And that's when I was learning all of the necessary skills to be on stage,
Yeah.
to be also in public speaking. I was doing a lot of UIL, one act, and different things like that that allowed me to really get an understanding of what it's like to be on stage, what it's like to create a speech from start to finish, and
Mhm.
how to not feel nervous about being in front of people in a crowd setting. And
Yeah.
so I really feel like growing up, there was aspects of myself where I just knew I was destined to get out of the valley.
Yeah.
I love my home, don't get me wrong. I love being born and raised in the valley. I feel like I have so much more pride now,
Mhm.
being from the valley, but I just knew that there was something in me that was calling for more, and
Yeah.
it was calling for me to go explore what that was. Yeah.
Goodness gracious. So you really have been working on this from the get-go, it
Hmm.
seems.
Yeah.
I love that, and I love hearing about how your dad really inspired some of the that community involvement, that
Mhm.
drive that you have now. Um, what's your mom like?
My mom is amazing. She was really shy. Both my mom and my grandma was like the life of the party, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my mom's personality is like that as well. She always instilled like to, go to college, get a good job, all those things. And I think that that was really interesting as I navigated entrepreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
because this was something that was not a part of the plan.
Right.
But I think my mom, one thing that I always share with everybody is a lot of the work that I do in my business, especially with Hustle and Socialize,
Mm-hmm.
it's in honor of my mom and my grandma who never had those opportunities
Uh,
to
yeah.
have to be around powerful women.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time that she comes to the conference or she's around, like it's all based in honor of them. And
Yeah.
so I feel like my mom is just, she's my number one fan, really.
Oh, yeah. I bet both of your parents and your grandparents are
Hmm.
super proud of what you're doing
Hmm.
and the way you really like so eloquently put it. Everything that you're doing is just in honor of them because they didn't get the same opportunity, you know?
Right, exactly.
It's still crazy though to think that all this time like this is still a first for some people. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it
Hmm.
to me when I think of like my mom and my grandma, I'm like they were 35, 30,
Yeah,
whatever, not that long ago. So we
right.
really have come a long way from just when they were growing up and stuff.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that's really cool that you've been able to shape
Hmm.
what you're doing now in honor of them.
Right. I remember a couple of months ago, I was sitting at the head of a table at my bank.
Hmm.
And, just spitting facts and like doing all these things. And I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, I think my mom and my grandma never had the opportunity to sit at the head of a table with a room
Right.
full of men,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And get these opportunities that I've
Hmm.
been really blessed to have.
That's amazing. And just the fact that you're, like you said, you started in high school really
Hmm.
being able to get in front of people, command a room, be on your own, lead a conversation. Like, those are skills that even if you've had practice, not everybody picks them up
Right.
as well as you have.
Mhm.
And so when I see your stuff online and I see you just, I'm like, I'm so inspired by you. And I think, I hope, I mean, I would assume that that's kind of your goal, right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
inspire people and just to make people feel, make women feel like you can get in front of a group of men. You can
Yeah.
be confident. And
Right.
so if that's what you're trying to put out there, you're really accomplishing
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I want more of us to rise and really step into our power,
Mm-hmm.
because we know that when we are confident, when someone else kind of, it gives other people permission to do the same.
Right.
And so I feel like the more I can be on camera, the more I can help other women feel confident as well,
Mm-hmm.
then it's a ripple effect of
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned briefly, like, this entrepreneurship was not exactly part of the plan.
Yeah.
What was the plan?
I wanted to be on Good Morning America. I wanted to be on E. So
Same.
right?
That's funny. Yeah, the Juliana Rancics of the world. Like, yeah.
That was, like I said earlier, I developed such a passion for TV news and broadcasting at such a young age that I was doing everything that I could in college to go down that path. I graduated college. I went to Texas State University, eat 'em up cats, and I did everything that they tell you to do.
Yeah.
I got involved with student organizations, the radio station. I had my own TV cable news show while I was a student. It was a student-run show called La Bebida. And I also was interning at various television stations here in San Antonio. And so I graduated 3.5 years and was ready to get out and just find that dream job.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and obviously now looking back a decade later, I know why.
Yes.
But at that time, it was to the point where I was going to all these TV stations and I was getting no after no after no. I would speak to news directors and they would tell me I didn't look the part. I didn't have, I needed to cut my hair. I just wasn't. And I even tried, okay, well, if I'm not on air talent, let's go to like a producer realm, right? Like, let me see if I could try to do that. And it still was not happening.
That's crazy.
It's just wild. And so around that time, I had all of these skills. And that's where I said, all right, if this door is not opening, what window could I open up? Like, what could I do? Right. And around that time, that's when I decided to pivot to public relations. And I started a blog called The Social Butterfly Gal because I wanted to document everything that I was doing so that the people that I was working with could see my potential, could see what I was about and hire me, on the spot. And so I was doing a lot of fashion PR when I first got started. And then I started slowly building my personal brand.
Yeah.
And that's where the woman that I was working with at the time for public relations, she was like, you have a really great social media presence. You know how to manage social media accounts. Have you ever thought of doing that as an actual job, like your own business? And of course not. I was like, no, I still want to try my realm in TV, right? And so after my final interview, I interviewed for a lifestyle show here in San Antonio and I did not get it. And when that happened, I said, you know what? I think we're just gonna leap into what I'm being called.
Oh,
And what was so funny is about, I would say like 2 or 3 years after that interview with the lifestyle show, the producer called me because we had developed a relationship on social media. And the producer called me and said, I would really love to hire you to come speak to our team, all of the producers, all the on-air talent, and I would love for you to give a social media strategy session to our team. And so that just felt like such a full circle moment for me because it was like, here is this news station that I really wanted to get a job with.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, but now they're hiring me.
Yes, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is so crazy. And I had no idea that that's kind of where you started. And it's relatable in the fact that, like, the no's, as awful as they are, they happen so often to a lot of people, you know? And it's really it sucks that that happened, but it's
Mhm.
so good that it happened to you
Right.
because like this is what you're calling for
Yeah,
sure,
and I
you
think
know?
it's so beautiful too that so I met social media at the time that it really was starting to blow up.
Right. Mhm.
And a lot of the skills that I learned there in school of being on camera, writing for the
Mhm.
internet, right, writing for the
Yeah.
web, I was starting to implement that with my own business being on camera.
Yeah.
You know, like all of us nowadays are our own media company.
Seriously.
You know, we have it at the tip of our fingertips.
Mhm.
And so because I was able to see and I was recognizing a lot of businesses in San Antonio were not even utilizing their Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't
Yeah, they weren't.
utilizing their Twitter at the time or Instagram. And so that's where I said, hey, there's a need, there's a problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah.
So let's be that person, right? And so
Yes.
I feel like it sort of paved the way for so many other people in the city to be like, yeah, I want to start my own social media company, right? Or my own
Mhm.
social media. Because at the time I thought I wanted to do an agency
Yeah.
before I started shifting into coaching.
Yeah.
But management, social media management for the longest time was exactly what I felt like I was called to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you are really good at it, and the time, effort, the poise that it actually takes, you
Mhm.
know, because
Yeah.
like everybody puts their, like you said, you're your own brand,
Yeah.
but to know how to really like make that brand excel
Yeah.
and to be the face of it and to be the person behind it and speaking and like, girl, your school paid off, let me tell you. And
Thank you.
and the other full circle moment for you is that right now, unfortunately, television is, I don't want to say dying,
Yeah.
but television is shifting and
Right.
people are watching social more than they're watching
Exactly.
normal television.
Right,
So
exactly.
like so
It's
you're there.
so
It's crazy.
it's yeah, it's just so wild. I think about that a lot, especially the shift in social media and where people are getting their news and who they're listening to and like
Mhm.
all these things. And I think about it and it was like that's what I always tell young people
Mhm.
is if you want to get ahead of the curve, you need to have a pulse on social media. You
Yes.
need to know what's coming next and you need
Mhm.
to be ahead of that and
Yeah.
you need to at least understand the basics foundation specifically of how to market
Yeah.
yourself and
Mhm.
other people's
Yeah.
companies as well.
My
Hmm.
goodness. This is amazing. So, okay, so I want to just tap into something really quickly. You just
Yeah,
celebrated a
I
birthday.
did.
We're talking about all this achievement. May I ask
Uh-huh.
the question you're not supposed to ask, but how old
Uh-huh.
did you turn?
At 33. And I'm totally
33.
fine with you.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
like,
I'm
I don't care, but some people care.
33.
33. So
Yeah.
you're really like going after it. You're so
Mhm.
young. This is
Mhm.
amazing for you. I mean,
Thank you.
and just I ask that because I feel like when I was in my mid 20s, my late
Mhm.
20s, you know, people feel like I'm stuck. It's too late. I
Mhm.
don't know what I'm going to do. Like 33 and you're thriving. And
Mhm.
even though it takes work, like you said,
Yeah.
10 years of work, I feel like that's a good point to make that it's never too late to start your
It isn't.
journey. You know
It
what I mean?
isn't. Yeah, absolutely. I even feel like I'm barely getting started,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to see what life looks like at 40 or
Right.
50, right? But I help so many women who are also older
Yeah.
that are trying to navigate what this realm of social media is,
Yeah. Which can
right?
be tricky.
Which is so tricky. And a lot of these women too, they did not grow up with the internet,
right. They
right?
didn't
Like
have an
they
AIM
didn't
screen name.
they didn't. They're like, I'm supposed to do what now?
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's never too late to get started. I mean, even now at 33, there's still things that I'm learning too about business and money and
Right.
finances, right?
Hmm.
And I'm at sometimes I feel like, man, especially with finances, right? Making sure that everything is I'm growing my wealth and everything
Yeah.
is the smart choices that I need to make for my
Yeah.
future. And sometimes I feel like, man, if only I wish I would have learned that, at such a young
Yes.
age. But now I'm like, no, because at that age, I would not have been able to comprehend what I
No.
know now.
Yeah, and
Right?
it's crazy though too. I always think back to this like when we're in high school, there are certain just like there's a standard of things that you should know, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking investments, I'm talking 401ks, I'm
Right.
talking that stuff. And unless your parents really talk to you about that stuff, you graduate high school, you go to college and like you're on your own, you
Yeah.
know? They're like, "Sayonara, learn how to save your money."
Right.
But like there's no fundamentals when you're young that at least in in my family, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I didn't learn it until a lot later, and I was like, man, if only I would have known.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I don't know if at that young of age you
Yeah.
really would put it to,
Right.
put it to use. That
Right.
knowledge.
And I started sort of my journey too, especially with understanding my finances in a different way as a business owner when I was 25 at the
Yeah.
time. And
Mhm.
now I think about it, I was like, oh, okay, like I needed to start then
Yes.
to understand it, right? But yeah, I mean, turning 33, I was so excited to turn 30, and now I just feel like I'm really finding my groove and
Mhm.
really just getting to a point where I'm like, okay, I see the fruits of my labor from
Yeah.
from a decade of being in business. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I always think too, like, people dread their 30s, but
Hmm.
literally, I'm not just saying it because I'm in my 30s, but they're really like a prime time of life,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're old enough to like know better on
Right.
certain things.
Right.
But you're still kind of, you're not 40, which I honestly, I say
Yeah.
that like meaning I'm looking forward to being 40, but I
Yeah.
feel like that comes with its own shift.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 30s I feel like are, you're good,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna be. I guess I'm about 2 years older because I'll be 35 this year. But
Okay.
but we're
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to talk. I went again. I did my research, guys.
I love it.
I went
I
back
love it.
and scrolled through your social media
Woo.
all the way to the bottom to the
Oh
first post.
Oh my gosh, those are college posts.
Yeah. Okay, and I was like, oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
I learned two things: Texas State, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
Or have you been with the same? Your husband
Yeah.
is the same person you've been with. Okay, so
Yeah.
take me through that a little bit. When did you meet him?
I met him in 2011
Okay.
at Texas State University. And get this, y'all. This is why I love like our story. So he is actually from the Valley.
Mhm.
He's from the same hometown, like the same city as my dad, where he grew up.
Uh-huh.
And this is actually the third generation of La Feria and mission marriages that have happened in our
Oh my
in our
goodness.
family.
Yeah.
So my grandpa married, he's from La Feria. My grandpa married a woman from Mission, my grandma. Then my dad was from La Feria, married a woman from Mission, my mom. And now me from Mission married Pete from Pedro from La Feria. So we met, there's a retreat called Bobcat Awakening at
Mhm.
Texas State University, and I went on that retreat and we met in 2011. We were friends for a solid year, and I went after him.
Ooh, see? Command it, girl. Command it.
But it's really funny because he actually rejected me twice because he didn't want to ruin the friendship,
Yeah.
And then finally, like on the third try, it was like, all right, let's
yeah.
go on a date.
Well, if you got to know anything about Christina, she doesn't take no,
No
for an answer.
Exactly. And so it took, and I love it because the day that we went on, like the day that he actually asked me to be his girlfriend is December 2nd, which is Britney Spears' birthday.
I love that.
That's the day that we got married.
I love that.
And I'm a huge Britney Spears fan. So
Mhm.
the fact that he asked me to be his girlfriend on Britney Spears' birthday and then we got married on her birthday, it's like, yes.
It's like, you're like, let's just make one thing clear. We support Britney Spears.
Yes, yes. So yeah, I mean, we were friends for a good year, and we've been together for 13 years.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Oh, what a love story, I swear. So do your families know each other since you're
Yes.
from
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. In fact, several of my cousins actually went to high school with him and
okay.
his brothers and his sister.
Yeah.
So it's wild how each other, and really the towns, I mean, in the valley, every city is right next to each other.
Right.
It's very, just very close. And so I love it because it feels like we share that commonality, but it's
Yeah.
really hilarious how we each left the valley not wanting to date anybody from the valley, but yet we did.
Look at you now. I know, that's funny because when people sum up the valley, I never this is going to be dumb, but I never really like correlate the valley with different cities. It's just
Yeah.
like all one big area
Yeah.
in my brain. So
Yeah.
that's so cool though that I mean like, it is a large area.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what are the odds? Y'all were
Yeah.
destined.
We were destined. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we've been together since 2011.
So sweet.
Mhm.
So when I was going through your social media, I was like, oh my gosh, this looks like my social if you scroll all the way down. The filters, the like, yeah, we went through it, girl. tell me a little bit then. So, was your social media page back in 2011 always the Social Butterfly Gal?
No, it
Or
was my personal name.
okay,
Yeah, it was like Christina, my regular, Christina Giovanna or something like
okay,
that. Christina J. Ochoa, my
yeah.
maiden name at the time.
Well, so and that's what
Yeah.
I was wondering if you when did you make that decision to kind of like meld the two, your personal with your social like normally you would
Yeah.
think that when somebody is starting a new business or
Yeah.
like transitioning, you create a whole new page.
Right.
But you didn't, and I
No.
feel like was there strategy behind that?
There was.
Yeah.
I was already, when I got out of college, that was like 2012 going into 13, 14, 15. So when I was in the beginning parts of Social Butterfly Gal,
Mhm.
I was really starting to get more of a following.
Mhm.
And I was recognizing that this notion of, well, when you build a personal brand and when you build a brand that's based on you, it is encompassing all parts of you.
Mhm.
Now, there are things that you can keep private because there's still a lot of things that I don't publicly share
Right.
because that's what I choose, right?
Yeah.
Like it's my social media. I can choose what I want and what I don't want. But I was recognizing that more and more people were following this Instagram and they were following me.
Right.
And that's when I said, okay, I don't really feel aligned. Like, yes, Christina J. Ochoa is my name.
Mhm.
But then when when I got my LLC and it became the Social Butterfly Gal,
Mhm.
and that was my business, I said, you know what? That's the name that I know I'm starting to get more opportunities from.
Yeah.
And so I really want for people to remember me as the Social Butterfly Gal.
Yeah.
You're the Social Butterfly Gal. And it's still to this day, right? And so I think it was around 2015, like around the time that I got my LLC. And then it actually, a year after I got my LLC, that's when I got engaged. And so I knew, like, okay, if I'm going to be changing my name very soon, I don't want my social media to be tied to my
your
maiden name,
right.
right?
Mhm.
And I just want it to be like the brand name,
Yeah.
and we'll go from there. And that's when I made all the switches, and it worked.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. Well, it's good because then you didn't lose any of that following. I feel
Right.
like there's a big headache whenever you're like, hey, I
Yeah.
got a new page. Follow me on here also,
Yeah.
and like if people miss it. But yeah, so that's really cool that you were able to meld the two and you just continued gaining a following.
Yeah.
Do you know about what was the number that you thought, okay, something's happening. I'm like making a mark here.
There was never a number. And I want to preface this because I feel like so many people are so fixated on the number of followers that
I
they
should
have.
said a moment.
Right. A moment. Right.
Yes.
So there was a moment where I want to say probably around the time that the lifestyle show hired me to come
Mhm.
consult
Mhm.
and to do a strategy session with them. It was like, oh, okay. Like
Yeah.
now I'm starting
Yeah.
to get more recognition. That was 2016.
2016.
And that was maybe about like 1 to 2 years in business.
Mhm.
I will definitely say that the moment that I knew everything was about to sort of shift in the business was when I had the incredible opportunity of giving a TEDx talk
Oh,
during the
yes.
pandemic.
Mhm.
And that was 5 years into my business,
Yeah.
right? And I think one thing that for me just really made me understand, like, oh, people are really watching, was the
Mhm.
fact that I didn't apply for that. That
Yeah.
fell into my lap,
That's amazing.
right? Like, that was something where I honestly thought that, because they have speaker coaches, right? And when the event approached me, they, were emailing. And at first I was like, oh, I think they just want me to be involved because I have some speaking, like maybe
Right.
they just want me to
Mhm.
help. And they're like, no, we want you to give one. And I was like, what? What? And so I think it was that, right? And I feel like around that time, that's when I started to really just feel confident
Yeah.
in my business and the work that I was doing. But I think, it's really interesting. Business ebbs and flows.
Mhm.
And one thing that I stress with a lot of business owners is like, we are working on longevity here.
Mhm.
It's so great to go viral, right? It's
Yeah.
exactly right. It's great to get recognized, but I don't want to just be recognized in that moment. I want to be here for 40 years.
Right.
Right? I want to
Mm-hmm.
stand on that stage and receive a lifetime achievement award,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think about that and the ebbs and flows, and I just also think about how there's so much more coming my way,
Yeah.
especially as I think about what the next 5 years, 10 years, right? But I really feel like that those moments, pivotal, like when I won an award, right? These
Mm-hmm.
things was okay. Like I
Yeah.
think now I think we're right. I think we're getting there. And of course, like once you hit those milestones, if you've been in business for longer than 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
you're pretty good.
Yeah.
You're getting there.
Oh, that is so good. I'm so glad that you had that opportunity to give the talk. I
Yeah.
listened to the snippet that you have on your page.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
again, I was like, you're captivating. I was like, I believe this. I could do it. She said so, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's really good though. And again, I just want to commend you do have really good speaking skills. I don't know, even I feel like this is part of like what I do for a living is
Uh-huh.
talk with people, but
Right.
you're just really good at it. You
Thank
were
you.
made for this. So I do also want to mention, so TEDx, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk though, hustle and socialize.
Let's talk about it.
Like
I'm so
that,
excited.
I feel like for me, just the general idea that I get is like, I was explaining to my husband, I'm like, okay, she's part of this conference where
Yeah.
all these women come together. They're all learning from each other. They're all giving their personal testimonials. Like
Mhm.
it's a really incredible opportunity. What has that been like for you to know that you've had a hand in getting these women in the same room together?
It's been so beautiful. Sometimes I can't wrap my head around it,
Yeah.
and I cry every year that the conference happens because
Mhm.
it's pure magic. It's really magic, and it was born because there was nothing like this in San Antonio.
Yeah.
So a lot of when I was in the beginning stages of my entrepreneurial career, I was going to a lot of networking events or summits and panels, conferences, you name it. And especially locally, there wasn't anything for minority businesswomen. There was women events, don't get me wrong.
Right. Mhm.
But every time I would step into anything, I was always the only Latina in the room.
Mhm.
And if it wasn't just me, there was maybe one other person, right?
Yeah.
There was maybe one other Black woman. It was just like very rare.
Yeah.
And I really I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I just got really frustrated. And obviously, there are amazing organizations here,
Mhm.
but I think that around that time, I was recognizing that San Antonio did not have its own conference specifically for minority businesswomen.
Yeah.
And that is when I said, okay,
Yeah.
if I could either bitch and complain about it,
Yeah.
or I could do something about
Yeah.
it.
Oh, you did something.
So I did something about it. And Hustle and Socialize has evolved so much because originally it was started by myself and my best friend
Mhm.
of 20 years, 22. I think now we're on our 23rd year of friendship.
You're so cute. I love that.
We met when we were 10 years old, and we call each other like the chicles. Like
Yeah.
we're gum. We stick together. And she left the company about 2 years ago to go run for Congress, and she's currently running for Congress right now in 24.
Amazing.
And so I've really had to understand what visions look like from that perspective of the early years of Hustle and Socialize, having a different vision with someone else and a
Yeah.
partner, and then what that vision looks like moving forward without having that partner.
Yeah.
And what does that look like encompassing the social butterfly gal? And so it's been such a beautiful journey. And I think what is really just impactful is the amount of women who will step into that room and make a life altering decision.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm quitting my job and
Yeah.
I'm going to go into business for myself.
Yeah.
Right? I can't tell you how many women have come to this conference, they experienced the conference, and within less than 2 weeks they've quit their corporate job and
Girl.
are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right? And the amount of people too that businesses, I mean, we've had women who were bartending and then within 1 year later have made over $100,000,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just beautiful, and I'm so grateful to be able to do this for our community.
It's really crazy as well that you say, I mean, because San Antonio, you think that it's so representative of our demographic, of
Right.
our of people that look like you and I.
Right.
And for it to be like 2020, what year was that?
2018.
2018, and that was not the case. It's like, why not? So I'm glad
Yeah.
that you guys have really done this. But tell me a little bit about, I guess you said it's changed
It
so
has
much.
changed. It
I
has
mean, and
changed.
can you believe you're like, what, 5 years in? What's 28 and what year?
Yeah, it was 6
2024?
years. 6 years.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, how has it changed?
So the biggest change of them all is I 100% own it now.
Yeah.
And so that took a lot of understanding getting some clarity around what does that vision look like in this new realm of me having 100% ownership versus 50%.
Right.
And so that for me has been a blend of the change of my own company, because around the time that it first got started, both companies were separate. It was social media management and then it was the conference.
Yeah.
And so when my best friend left the company and I took ownership of it, now I had to start to ask myself, okay, well now I'm the face of the brand.
Yeah.
And I'm also the face of this brand. And guess what? Now I really find coaching such a more passionate thing than social media management.
Right.
So how do I blend all of this together where it's still two separate entities, but how does it encompass to be one? Whereas now SBG is the umbrella and Hustle and Socialize is one of the little, know, webs, if you call it, right? That's the first place that women come and get visible.
Yeah.
And so a lot has changed with the programming. A lot has changed with the dynamics of the event itself and how it funnels into my own coaching programs, right? So now that's the main sort of lead generation, if you will, where women come and then if they want to get really deep in their own visibility in their social media, then they start working with me in my coaching programs. And so I feel like in the beginning years, we were really trying to get an understanding of where are these women at in their career. So a lot of the programming was based around, oh, well, if you're just starting out, here's where to go. And now it's really like you are in the weeds of your business and you need really incredible strategy.
Yeah.
You need business education. And not only that, you need more connection building. But we still have, people who are still in the beginning stages, right? We don't really, a lot of the programming is still the same, but now it's really clear, it's really concise.
Yeah.
I know who the audience is, I know what their pain points are, and it's just me.
That is so amazing. So you are the commonality in both of these things. Tell me a little bit about what is, like, who is Hustle and Socialize for? If they've never heard of it, who can come? I mean, I know everybody can come, right? Like, everybody can come to it.
Yeah.
But, like, what is the vision that you have for the girl? Who's the girl that's going to be in the audience listening?
This is for the woman who is really wanting to have more deeper connection with other like-minded individuals that is going to push them to the limit of skyrocketing their impact and their income. This is for the person who has already had traction, right? They've been in business, or they have a 9 to 5 and they're like, there's something brewing that I need, that inspiration. I need to get that fire so that I could pursue it, right? So there's still those two kind of sets of audiences. But this is for somebody who is really wanting to scale in ways that they never thought possible. This is for, that person that is, I like to call, like, we don't like to have failure to implement people in the room. And we want people who are going to take action immediately after this event, right?
Yeah.
And so we still have a lot of women. It is designed for minority business women, but we're for all, right?
Yeah.
And this is really meant for those who are in business and they're really looking to get to that next level.
That's really exciting. I guess if you do go, right, people that are going to come, what can they expect to take away from it? What would you say is the most motivational aspect that they're going to leave saying, I really need to do this?
The women that we have on our stages is reason enough to feel that motivation.
Yeah.
So the speakers that we have a collective business experience of over 195 years
Mhm.
worth of business knowledge. And I feel like there's just this synergy that's in the room that not only are you going to learn something, right?
Mhm.
You might learn things that you may have not learned, or maybe you've learned it before, but it gets that fire going within you.
Mhm.
But it's just those things of seeing other women who are around the same ages, or
Yeah.
maybe older or younger, and it's seeing these women really go after it.
Mhm.
Some are, caretakers, some are moms, some are single women, some are, just kicking
Yeah.
ass. And I feel like for that person who's needing that inspiration and that fire, like sometimes we have our fire that gets dimmed a little bit as life, right?
Yeah.
Life is life in. And
Mhm.
I always feel like if I notice that my light is dimming, that means that I need to double down and invest in myself.
Yeah.
And I need to invest in people and places that are going to reignite that fire.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what Hustle and Socialize is.
Ah, that's so exciting. So
Hmm.
you heard it.
Yeah.
If you need to take that step, this is where you need to go.
Yeah.
To just be with like-minded women, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I am contemplating myself being
Go.
part of it. So yeah,
Go.
no.
Yes.
I want to know also. So we were talking a little bit about your husband. You met
Mhm.
him when you started college.
Yeah.
What has that been like? You've been on this journey with him this
Yeah.
whole time. So how does that kind of like meld together?
It's wild because he has seen me from the beginning. He
Mhm.
was a part of baby social butterfly gal,
Yeah.
right? He was a part of when I did not have any money
Mhm.
and we were trying to figure it out. And now, 10 years later, he is now stepping in to his own entrepreneurship journey.
Really?
So we are now a household of two entrepreneurs. And he is now going into that phase where he's starting a business. He already has his LLC. He's in the process of getting his logo and his graphic design. He's looking at what he wants to do.
Mhm.
And I think it's just so beautiful because I think that when we think about what our future is and when we
Yeah.
think about when the time is right to have kids and what does that look like in our life, I feel like it's been aligning. Everything has just been in alignment. And I
Yeah.
think also the fact that he's been there, he's seen, I mean, he was with me in the trenches when I was ready to give up.
Yeah.
When I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. Like, what are we doing? He's been there when I had to, you know, lawyer up and buy out
Yeah.
my best friend. And,
Yeah.
that was a
Mhm.
very difficult thing. And luckily, we're still best friends. Like, that didn't
Yeah.
hurt our friendship. But
Yeah.
I feel like it's just been so beautiful to go on this journey with. And I feel like entrepreneurship, you need to have that other partner. Like, you need to have somebody who is supportive, who's
Mhm.
gonna go with you to an event and hold your camera.
Yeah.
We make fun of the Instagram husbands, right?
Hey,
We like, oh, but it takes
it's
a lot.
important. Yes.
You're right. It takes a lot of time and energy, and also to hold that space emotionally,
Mhm.
because I think I've learned, I have an amazing therapist, and I recommend everybody anybody just have a therapist. But I just feel like, for a partner to be able to hold that space for you when you
Mhm.
are emotionally drained and
Yeah.
you don't know how things are going to happen, because in entrepreneurship you're riding every single wave,
Yeah.
right? There could be
Mhm.
some months where you are beasting it. There could be some months where you're like, "Oh my gosh, like how am I going to get through this?" Right?
Right.
So for a
Mhm.
partner to have that, it takes a special person to do that. And
Yeah.
I really feel like, he didn't, when we met in college, we didn't know that, you're
No.
right. We
Right.
didn't know that this was going to
Mhm.
happen. And even him now in his own journey, he is starting his business after being laid off
Yeah.
from the company that he was working with. And just seeing that, it's like, you have to write it out, and you have to also know boundaries, right? So I understand that he's a great sounding board, but I also have to have the boundary of, okay, this is too much work talk.
Right.
Right? Right?
Mhm.
This is too much work talk. I don't want everything to be about work.
That's a good way of putting it, because I'm like you sometimes you'll dim the light.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, do I really want to be talking about, what hustle and socialize, numbers are on a
Right.
Sunday morning, right?
Yeah.
But, he comes from an operations background. And so he's been super instrumental in the operations component
Yeah.
of my companies, and especially with Hustle and Socialize, making sure that the guest, because he comes from that guest experience
Yeah.
side as well. And so making sure that the guest experience is a really great one. But yeah, I mean, he's been there from the get-go.
I love that. What shout out to all the, what is it, Instagram husbands,
Instagram
but really they're just
husbands.
supportive husbands,
Yeah.
which is really nice to have.
Yeah.
Not everybody has it, so
No.
like
Yeah.
you got to be grateful.
Yeah.
Is he a social butterfly?
He has really opened up.
Yeah.
I feel he loves to talk when he feels more comfortable around
Mhm.
people, but I feel like his line of work in operations, he's definitely more of like the behind the scenes kind of
He's still in a
person.
cocoon.
Yeah, still the cocoon. And so I do feel that like when I got started in going to all the networking events, right? He would come along with me, and sometimes it would be like, okay, I don't know, right? But he's really come out of his shell. And I think too, as he goes into his own entrepreneur journey, he knows like that networking, you have to, right? No
Mhm.
one is going to advocate for you if you don't
Right.
advocate for yourself. And so I feel like definitely throughout the years, it's been like a transformative experience for him. But I feel like I'm way more social. Like
Yeah.
I can go. And he's like, okay, I'm ready to go lie down.
Right.
Right.
No, that's good though. That's really nice though for him to have you
Mhm.
there to help him navigate his way through his own journey.
Mhm.
What kind of, I guess, what realm of entrepreneurship is he getting into?
So he originally got his degree he has a master's in exercise sports science.
Okay.
So in the fitness industry.
Mhm.
And so right now he's going into more of that fitness industry, looking into running. He has his own run club right now.
Nice.
He wants to eventually maybe do some coaching,
Yeah.
maybe do some fitness training,
Yeah.
essentially have like an apparel line. I mean, I think right now he's in that phase of like, okay, these are all the things I want to do.
Right.
But he
Mhm.
knows that there's still that love and passion for the fitness,
Yeah.
and also the passion for the operation side.
Yes.
And so that's why I'm like, okay, on the operation side, like come on board, come
Yes,
work for it,
uh-huh.
right? And then you can still have your thing. But yeah, I mean, I think he's just in that exploratory phase
Yeah.
that every entrepreneur has at the beginning.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You just like you
You
have
just
to kind
dive
of pull
in.
back for a minute, and you're like, okay, wait, which one can I tackle right now?
Yeah.
Because there's all these goals. But,
Right.
Oh, well, that's good. I wish him luck, but I think
Mhm.
he'll be solid with
Yeah.
you next to him. So
Yeah.
obviously, right?
Right.
So you did mention, and I feel like I'm breaking all the rules right now, but I'm
Uh-huh.
just gonna do it because that's what we do here.
Okay.
So you mentioned that you guys have thought about children.
Yeah.
Do you want children?
I want children.
Yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have like a number of children that you want? An
Yeah,
idea?
I'm an only child, so I'm not I don't come from a big family.
Right.
And let's
Mhm.
be real, like it's expensive out there.
Yeah, it is.
Right? So I always just like to say whatever happens, happens. What is meant to be will always be meant to be.
That's
I
so
don't
true.
have any expectations. I think that I've learned so much just about like how everything aligns in my life. And so if we're blessed to have one child, that's beautiful. If we're blessed to have two, right? But
Yeah.
as an only child, I mean, for me, I'm like, okay, like I'm fine,
Yeah,
right? Like,
you're right. Mhm.
I have a twin gene, so who knows what could happen
Oh,
there,
look at
right?
that. Oh my gosh.
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, two, I'm not, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good luck. When,
Thank you.
if, whatever will be, will be. But
Yeah.
I wish you luck with that. I
Thank
think you'd
you.
be fantastic at it.
Thank you.
So we mentioned a little bit within this whole relationship conversation about
Mhm.
like talking about work, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Not blah, 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 but
Mm-hmm.
So how would you say it's been, because you and your husband have been together for a really long time, so growing together, not apart.
Yeah.
How do you think that you guys have done that?
We have really focused on our communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel also doing check-ins. So every Sunday, I mean, coffee is our thing. Like,
Yeah.
I know there's like hay comida en la casa, right? There's café en la casa,
Yeah,
pero
but
no, we
it's
like
not the
to
same.
not the same. So we like to go to coffee shops and we do like a marriage check-in,
Yeah.
right? Where we're at on our goals. And we also, I think also coming from the same hometown with that mentality. And I think there was immediately from the start there was that connection
Yeah.
because we could totally relate to each other from the way we were, our upbringing.
Mhm.
And so I feel like we share a lot of the same values and goals that has really allowed us to grow together.
Yeah.
And if I notice that something is off, I'm like, all right, like
Mhm.
there's a point where we need to sit down and we really need to evaluate all of our goals. Like, what do we want? Where are we going? How are
Mhm.
we getting there together? And also really making time for each other.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, I really try my best to implement like a no work rule on the weekends or like no work on Saturdays.
Whoops.
I know, right? But specifically for Saturdays. Like
Yeah.
Saturdays, I'm like, no, that's our time.
Mhm.
But I think it's just really understanding each other and what you want. And
Yeah.
I feel because we've been able to really grow in that aspect from like the other day for my birthday, I was like, man, the first birthday we ever celebrated together, I was 19.
It's crazy.
Like 19 years old,
Yeah.
right? And thinking like
Mhm.
now see, he's about to turn 35 in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right? So he was about 21. And it's just really beautiful to see like, wow, we've done a lot of life in together. We still have
Yeah.
so much more life in to go.
Right.
So I
Mhm.
think it's just really about like communication and just checking in and making sure like, hey, are we aligned right now? And if we're
Yeah.
not, like, what do we need to do to get
Yeah.
back? Yeah.
You say that so well, and I think that it's really incredible that as an entrepreneur
Mhm.
and as he's, going into that,
Mhm.
you're very specific about this is our time because, work isn't 9 to 5 for you guys.
No,
And
no,
so
yeah.
to make sure that you're meeting that goal, you're making sure that you're sticking to it, like
Mhm.
that's a really good it's a we have the tendency, I think, couples to
Mhm.
forget about that.
Yeah.
Throw kids into the mix, and
Right.
obviously it's even worse.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think that that's really important. I try to do that as much
Mhm.
as I can. But yeah, if you're listening out there, don't forget to make time for your significant other because
Right.
that's like, and talk,
Right. Right. And
about non-work things.
right, exactly. And I think we've been very intentional too. Like he's not afraid to call me out on my shit.
Yeah.
Right. And I
Mhm.
think that is something that I need and I love about him the most.
Yeah.
And especially when I find myself kind of like, okay, I want to like word vomit right now about work, right? He's like,
Yes.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
That's not
Not right now.
well,
Yeah.
no, right? And so it's like, okay, we'll win. Or just like keeping things to myself to where like, hey, that's not going to be of value if I bring it up, right?
Yeah.
So just like really having that, but totally, and we've been really intentional too about
You read
each
my
of that.
mind. I was
Yeah.
literally thinking intention
Mhm.
is like, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been married this year is going on 7 years
Yeah.
of marriage, and so we've been really intentional about like what does the future look like with kids? Like how do we want to have our life? Like what does
Mhm.
that look like?
Yeah.
Right? Like do we want to be able to have the opportunity to, on a Tuesday at like 2 o'clock, right? Have that flexibility to go do what
Mhm.
we need to do,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's something that I think excites me so much about him getting into this journey of entrepreneurship is
Yeah.
like we're building together as well, even though it's his company and it's my company, but we're on the track to build.
Well, and it's really it's funny because people throw out the word entrepreneurship a lot or
Mhm.
entrepreneur, but you truly are. Obviously, the proof's in the pudding. Go look at her social media. But like, yeah, you're right. That's what one of the upsides that comes with it is being able to really make your own schedule
Yeah.
and, but it does come with so much work. So
Right,
like it's
yeah.
easy, it's an easy selling point, but it's like, it means that on the times that you're taking off, you really got to make up for that,
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes, 100%.
That's amazing. Well, I again will wish you nothing but the best in your marriage and if you ever become a mother, all of that good stuff, and especially in your career. But we're gonna move on to just a couple fun topics really
Okay,
quickly.
I
Not
love
that
it.
marriage and success is not fun. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you talked about like being in the fashion space for a while, right?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me, what's your favorite place? Where's your favorite place to shop?
I love shopping at H&M and Francesca's.
Love Francesca's.
I love also local boutiques.
Mhm.
Shout outs to Chasing Camila. I love Chasing Camila, but I definitely have to say, like Francesca's, it's really hard for me to shop because I am kid size. So I still fit in like the kids' clothes at Target,
Yeah,
right? And
mhm.
I think it's just really, it's the balance of finding really good office wear or like workwear
Yes.
on top of, okay, but I also want to find things that could
Mhm.
complement my body, but also if I want to go out, right? It's
Right.
to brunch
Mhm.
or whatever, like it's not too worky, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't look too businessy.
Yeah, it's not a blazer for everything.
Exactly. I'm like, this blazer again? But yeah, I really love Francesca's H&M local boutiques.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. What are your 3 makeup must-haves?
Setting spray, primer, and a really great foundation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's your foundation?
I use Too Faced Warm Nude. I think it's like Bare.
Yeah.
Yeah, Too Faced.
Okay.
That's the foundation name. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm getting better at my makeup. Like, oh my gosh, these kids these days with
They're
YouTube,
crazy.
like I'm
Full-on
like,
artists.
where was this when we were teens,
Yeah,
right?
I
Because
know.
like I had blue eyeshadow.
I had
It's
raccoon
wild.
eyes. The
Yeah.
like amount of under what do you even call it? My waterline.
Yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
lash line, like
Yeah.
the black eyeliner was just by the end of the day it was like
Yeah.
raccoon girl.
Yeah, so I feel like having those 3 things like has made a big difference, but also moisturizing. I've been really trying to understand how to better care for my skin as
Mhm.
we get older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Same. I'm like, I need Botox.
It's like, why are we getting older? Like,
And I'm like, maybe if I stop smiling so much, I won't get these laugh lines.
exactly.
I'm so funny. Just kidding. Okay, describe your perfect date here in San Antonio? It's Saturday.
It's not April 25th. No,
I know.
just kidding, right?
Oh, that's a good one.
I know exactly what I was thinking. You know, one of the things that I think my husband and I really love to do is we love to play tourist in our city.
Right.
And I think when we've been living here already for 11 years, this is going on 12. Sometimes it's like, okay, but what have we not done?
Right.
Right? Because if we've been here, I mean, so many beautiful things are popping up and new things are popping up, which is exciting. But we really love to like try new coffee shops.
Yeah.
Like that's our thing. Coffee
Mhm.
shops is our thing. I also love to be, I know it gets super hot. But in the springtime, I love to be outdoors.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love to like
Mhm.
experience some type of like going to brunch and sitting outside, right? I'm
Mhm.
not so much of a nature girly, but I just at least love to be in the fresh air.
I love that. That's our idea of being outside.
Right,
It's like brunch.
brunch.
Give me a cocktail. Let the bird chirp.
Exactly. I'm not going on a hike, right? Like, don't take me to Enchant or what is it?
Enchanted Rock. Like, no, enchant me with a cocktail.
Exactly. But doing things like that, and then I think too, like seeing
Sorry.
like seeing what local things are happening, and just being in the community. Like
Yeah.
that's what I love. It's like being
Yeah.
a part of the community. So it's just like seeing, what if there's wine, if there's champagne, right?
Mhm.
But seeing what there has and playing that tourist. Like one of the, I think it was like it was like 22. We made sure to do like a little scavenger hunt in downtown
Yeah.
and was like, okay, we're gonna go find this place, and this is what we're doing for brunch. This is what we're doing in the afternoon, and
Yeah.
kind of made like this fun game out of it. So
That's
something like that.
cute.
Yeah.
I might have to take you up on that
you
idea.
have to like play with what San Antonio has to
Yeah,
offer.
right.
And like find different things that it's like, oh, we haven't done that before. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Right? Let's do that.
Well, so do you have a favorite coffee shop here in San Antonio then?
Yeah, I love supporting any like Latina owned coffee shops.
Is it Savage?
Yes, she's actually going to be a speaker at Hustle and Socialize.
Yeah.
But there's also Southbound 210 Coffee. She's a
Okay.
pink trailer on the south, like near Southtown. I also love early bird coffee. I love
Ooh.
local coffee. We live, near the Pearl, and so we're always frequent there.
Yeah.
Anything that's like Halcyon, anything that's like a staple.
Yeah.
I was a huge Rosella girly, and I'm really sad that Rosella doesn't exist anymore. I mean, they do. They're in hospitals now, but they don't have a
They
flagship.
don't. Yes.
But Commonwealth, I mean, San Antonio has a really amazing coffee scene.
Yes.
And so I think that like anything that is local is just like my favorite. Like I work out of, I mean, I have a co-working space that I work out of, but I also bounce between the co-working space and coffee shops because I need to have that vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that. No, I brought up Savage because she used to have a trailer like near here.
Yeah.
And I would tell myself like, stop there, stop there. And the one time I did, I stopped and he was like, oh yeah, we're actually relocating. I was like, I waited too long.
They're in Techport now,
Yes.
or the Boeing Center.
Oh, that's so good. Okay,
Yeah.
wait, let me grab this.
Ooh.
I'm gonna grab
Rapid
two.
fire?
Rapid fire.
These are my
I'll
favorite.
do three.
Okay.
And you do three.
Okay. Ooh, hot tamale.
I know. Let's see.
Okay, wait. I pulled out way more. Not by Okay.
Okay. Let me put this.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Let's see. Okay, you can start.
Okay, iced coffee is better than hot coffee.
False. No.
Ooh.
Hot coffee.
Okay, why?
Hot coffee. I feel like you might be at odds with me on this one. I feel like if you're a coffee person, hot coffee is like, who puts ice in their coffee? I mean, every now and then I'll get I'm like, oh, I should get an iced coffee.
Yeah.
But like a real coffee person is a hot coffee person. Summer, winter, doesn't matter. Hot coffee.
Okay, can I answer this too?
Yes.
Okay. So I believe that if I'm going to be sitting down and enjoying, I need to have a hot coffee.
Yes.
I need to have a latte.
Yes.
It's just like all in the feels. If I'm on the go,
Yeah.
I'm taking it iced.
Iced,
Yeah. So that's just my preference, but I don't know. I like iced coffee a lot. Even
I'm not judging you.
even when we had the snowstorm,
You were having iced
I was having. I actually took a picture with my iced coffee and in the snowball in one hand and was like,
I love that for you. I do. I mean, yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, some people would be like, it's hot. Why are you drinking hot coffee?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I like coffee.
In 113-degree weather.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Oh, here's a good.
Ooh.
Tattoos are trashy.
No.
Okay.
My husband has like 13
I'm
tattoos.
like, no, they're not.
No, I feel like in the olden days, right, or like older generations would say like, oh, like,
Yes.
my grandparents, I remember there would be like, never bring home anybody with tattoos. And then he was my boyfriend at the time, right? He already had some, but no,
they're not.
I don't have any. I'm terrified,
Yeah.
to be honest. But cool if you do.
I know,
Not
and I
trashy.
love a good tattoo story. Like, what's this one mean? And they're like, I don't know. I think it means happiness, but it means
Right.
something else. Like the Chinese symbol.
Yeah,
Mandarin.
exactly. Exactly.
That's funny.
Okay, open relationships work.
Ooh. I mean, for me, no. But for others, maybe. I don't know. I'm not gonna yuck their yum. But I mean, I feel like here's my hot take, I guess.
Okay.
If you are in an open relationship, you're not in a relationship. You're just seeing people.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I, what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree to that. Yeah, I totally agree to that. No, I don't think they work.
Like no, I don't think so. Not for me, not by any means.
Exactly.
Oh, here's a funny one. Okay, gender reveal parties are dumb.
I really like when they're more private and intimate, right? And I think we blur this line of like social media, and we're seeing it more and more with people trying to like outdo everybody. Everything is content,
Yes.
right? And I think for me, because I haven't experienced that yet, but I feel like when that time comes, I want to really be in full integrity about how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's like intimate, but I see people doing like fireworks and like, I'm like,
This
why?
is crazy. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah. Did you have gender reveal parties?
So I didn't with my first one because it wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
What did we do? My daughter Harper was during the pandemic, so I think we just revealed it. Oh, we did a Zoom with my family.
Yeah.
And then with the third one, it was the same thing. We took a video, so it was just us here, and we did a video of it, and shared that with my family. And we did post that one online, but
Yeah.
like for me, again, I think like if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But
Yeah.
I do think that it makes people feel like you have to do these extravagant things.
Yeah.
And I think like if we could just get back to where not everybody was trying to compete with everyone online
Yeah.
and trying to like outdo everyone, the simpler times, if you will, I feel like people would just be more happy. You know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
to just like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
That's
feel the
my-
same. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
the same. I feel like social media has really kind of changed our perspective. I see it a lot too with weddings and like
Yes.
bachelorette parties. I'm like, you're
Right.
spending that much money on a just to get the content for your TikTok?
Right.
Like what?
I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
But again, like if that's
If
you,
that's- right.
right? But I'm just like, why? You know, sometimes
Yes.
I'm just like, it's a
Mhm.
15-second TikTok.
It's
right?
so true. Yes, exactly. So
Okay,
true.
once a cheater, always a cheater.
Yes.
Yes.
I think so.
Me too.
You can't tell me any different. Yeah.
No.
And
You can't.
no, you can't. And we'll cheers on that one, right?
Exactly.
We stand by it.
We
One that we
stand.
firmly agree on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my last one here. Oh God, this is a dumb one, but I'll ask it anyway.
Okay.
Smoking looks cool.
Cigarettes.
When I was 5, I
guess. What was it?
Those candy ones.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I mean, smoking. If you again,
yeah.
if you prefer that, cool.
Cool.
I do not like to be around smoke,
Same. Mm-mm.
cigarette smoke. I don't like to inhale it. I start coughing.
Yeah.
I have like also really bad allergies sometimes that like I was at HEB earlier today and like inhaled some. They were like cooking, the samples, right?
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, what is happening right now? So I mean, if you want to smoke, cool.
But if you think you're cool,
If
then
you think you're cool.
I was at a party recently. I don't smoke, but when I turned 18, I don't know if it's just like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
I turned 18 and I was like, oh, I'm going to start smoking cigarettes. Don't know why.
Yeah.
I had friends that did it, but I was at a party recently where they had these Camel cigarettes called Camel Crush.
Okay.
And you used to like click this little menthol thing on the
Uh-huh.
cigarette and it would make it from regular to menthol.
Oh wow.
And they were marketed like in pink and aqua. Anyway, the marketing worked. That's why I bought them, because it was a
Yeah.
pink box of cigarettes. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, it brought back all these memories. My husband and I were like, remember these Camel Crush? Like, but yeah, no. If you want to smoke, smoke.
Yeah.
Again, we're not going to yuck your yum.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, Christina. Well, I have had such a pleasure getting to know you.
Yeah.
Again, it's like the whole social media thing. You're crushing it, first of all.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you have worked so hard to make the success that reach the success that you've reached, and I just hope that it continues for
Thank you. Thank you. I hope to see you at the conference too.
I know. I was talking to I was like, she has this conference, and he's like, what do you mean? I was trying to explain it to him.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Let everybody
and to
know.
see you too.
So let me know.
Yeah.
Let everybody know if you're
Yeah.
listening. When are the dates? How can they get tickets?
Right. So the dates are Saturday, June 8th. Tickets are on sale until May 31st. So I don't know when this is airing, but it is up until May 31st. Anybody from all parts of Texas and across the country too. We have a lot of people actually coming in from different states.
Amazing.
Yeah. And you can find out more information by going to our Instagram. So you can follow me at the Social Butterfly Gal. And then you can follow Hustle and Socialize at Hustle and Socialize on Instagram as well. And my website is thesocialbutterflygal.net.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Christina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to see all of the content, and hopefully I'll be creating some of my own there. So
Yay. Thank you.
All right, it was a pleasure. And again, don't forget to follow Lady on the Street podcast. We're on TikTok for now, unless it gets banned. Instagram, you can also watch us on YouTube. And don't forget to go back and listen to all of the old episodes. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. And we will be back next week with another episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was so good. I loved it.